Thank you, Mr. Rohit, for the clear and simplified explanation of a big concept of the business-driven security of RSA. Now I have the honor to invite Mr. Benny Czarny, one of our own Israeli founder and CEO of one of the key players in the cybersecurity, OPSWAT. Please welcome Mr. Czarny.
Hi everybody, I'm very happy to be here at Cyberweek Israel. My name is Benny Czarny, I'm the CEO and founder of OPSWAT. So today I'm going to share with you some of OPSWAT philosophy to hopefully help each one of you build a better cybersecurity strategy. So a bit about OPSWAT. I'm sure that many of you knows the company, or for the one of you that do not, we're a global cybersecurity company. We have over 150 employees. We have 5 global offices. We are in the midst of opening an R&D and BD center in Israel. We play across several Gartner categories of cybersecurity, though overall we are a diversified cybersecurity company based in San Francisco. Type of customers and customers that we have. So we have over 1,000 customers across the traditional cybersecurity verticals, whether it's government, defense, energy, financials. We have some key technology partners such as RSA, that just been before, Checkpoint presenting here. We have some key and strategic customers here in Israel, such as IAA that is presenting here outside. Most of the nuclear facilities in the US are protected by OPSWAT technology. A bit about what we do. So we play in 3 different roles, and we have 3 different product lines that are, each one of them is extremely successful. Our major platform, a Meta Defender, is protecting against advanced threats in the organization. A bit about this platform. So I'm sure that many of you are familiar with advanced threats and advanced threats in general. So many of you are familiar with advanced threats in the network, advanced threats on the endpoint, such as next-gen AV and so on. Where we have a holistic framework, a multi-channel protection against advanced threats, whether threats coming through the USB channel, file downloads, web portal, or any other channels. We are also innovating in a cloud access control. We are a known leader in endpoint security technologies for traditional network access control, and we're innovating in cloud access control. It's a platform to protect cloud applications. And the third platform, our philosophy is that we are very, very open to the API-driven world, and we know that, at least our philosophy is that many organizations are integrating and looking to integrate platform via APIs who are committed to the development platform. Many of our technologies are accessible via APIs. So in order to go and share it, so we have like 12 minutes here to go and talk about, so we don't have too much time. However, in order to start talking about the philosophies, I think that each one of you wants to get a grasp, and I'd like to share with you how we view the cybersecurity. So we'd like to know where do we stand. So where do we stand in the industry? So the first research I'd like to share with you is that I'm sure that many of you are asking is how much malware is out there. So we try to answer this question: how much malware? How many viruses are out there? And we look at 2 different sources, as you can see just behind me. AV Comparatives and McAfee, 2 very reputable vendors. And whenever we look and we try to assess how much malware is out there, clearly there is a lot. However, clearly there's also inconsistency. There looks like there's a variant between these two very, very reputable vendors. Whenever we look at, some would argue, oh, McAfee started counting malware before AV Comparative, so actually we looked at the variant between them, and we see that even the variant change, which means that different vendors see different threats on a given time. Whenever we take that to the advanced threats, or very much, many of you are familiar with email-based threats, such as the document-based malware that is coming, we see a significant increase, actually over 900% increase in advanced threats, which are related to JavaScript. Some of that is related to the ransomware, not all of that, though we see a huge increase in targeted attacks based in email and documents. Whenever we take it to the CVEs, and whenever we look at the CVEs and global total amount of CVEs, looking at these numbers year after year, we see a giant increase in CVEs, and also something that is becoming pretty constant. And look at us as an industry, we're very much failing to come up with patching and to a point getting these CVEs or accumulation to the CVEs down. So if we're trying to summarize just kind of the quantity of threats, so first we know that there are many threats. We can't really count how many. We see more and more vulnerabilities, over 6,500 coming every year, and a big jump in a malware base, in advanced threats based in documents. So the results of that is obviously increase in breaches. So over 1,093 records related to breaches. 75% of these breaches is related to malware. This is actually a Verizon report that we collected. So, and then if we're looking and compare it to the global cybersecurity spend, there's a graph behind me showing the global cybersecurity spend. We're spending much more in cybersecurity, and still we have more breaches. There is more malware. So if we go back to the question, where do we stand? So as an industry, I can come and say we are failing. We are failing as an industry. We are spending more money. There are more breaches. There is much more. There is a lot of malware. We don't know how many. There are more CVEs. So given that, so the first question to ask ourselves is where do we stand? However, the second question we need to ask ourselves, what is the capability of our solutions? So whenever we look at the global cybersecurity market, and whenever we look into, there are over 1,800 cybersecurity companies, you can see the report classified in all kinds of, so this is one report by Momentum. I'm sure Gartner has their own classification of cybersecurity technologies. So it's very, very hard for a CISO to go and first choose one. There's many to choose from, and also to understand which one to pick. One thing that we do at OPSWAT, we are putting together a market share report. So this market share report is for anti-malware on BYOD on Windows devices. It's a very popular report. We're pretty known in this specific space. However, if you go to metadefender.com, by the way, it's a free website. You can go and see we have all kinds of reports there and all kinds of research that we're putting together. We're collecting data from millions of machines and sharing it. So clearly from this research, we see that the market is pretty segregated. There isn't a really dominant vendor that controls everything. And by the way, if we take this report to other areas, we see a very interesting segregation. So, and then whenever we see that, first, there are many vendors, there is a lot of segregation in the market, how can we really choose, how can we really pick the right cybersecurity solution for us? How can we go ahead and measure the quality of those? So there are 6 very known companies that their mission is to rate and rank cybersecurity products. You can see their logos behind us, and we very much work closely with each one of them. We came to first we read their report, we partner with them in any shape and form, and each one of these companies is measuring the quality of cybersecurity based on all kinds of measurements, such as obviously the response time, the quality, the operating system compatibility, how fast you detect a new outbreak, what's the global stability of the product. And we, whenever we look at the report, so if, for example, if we look at this report of a vendor, and we look at the same report, I would say, quarter by quarter, we see that clearly the quality of the cybersecurity changed. Actually, it's changed pretty fast to a point that it gets us to question how these cybersecurity vendors are testing others. To go and see a big jump of double-digit % in a quarter, it makes us question the quality of the test and also the quality of the cybersecurity product. Whenever we go ahead and compare between two different vendors, whenever we look at AV comparative and AV test, on a single month and checking very reputable vendors between them, we see a big disparity between the cybersecurity products. So whenever we go ahead and see this, so for example, one by one, we can see only a single consistency between one, and by the way, the following months is going to go and change. Whenever we go to the network, so this is a report by NSS Labs, and we look for very known, very reputable vendors out there, we see that also we see a big, I would say a big inconsistency between the results. Interestingly, that immediately after these vendors are coming up with this report, the known vendors try to sometimes dispute this, sometimes sue, sometimes come up with an updated report. Or everybody also remember the Volkswagen test of the smoke test. You get some similar tests and similar behavior like that we've seen in the industry. So, will we ever get a cybersecurity strategy right? I can't envy a CISO. Whenever there are many threats, you don't know how many are there, you have more vulnerabilities, you have increased amount of targeted attacks, you have many cybersecurity solutions, you don't really know what's the quality of your cybersecurity solution. So what can we do? How can you still build a cybersecurity strategy that's still going to go and work? So I'm going to go and share with you at least some of our philosophy, things that we are very much believing in that very much can help you to go and build a better cybersecurity strategy. The number one thing that I'd like each one of you to remember is that we share is we don't trust files. So our philosophy, our first approach, do not trust any file. From our perspective, any file is bad. Executable is bad. Document is bad. JPEG is bad. Video is bad. AutoCAD is bad. XML is bad. Every file is bad. And one technology we're very much believing in is called CDR, data sanitization. There are many words to go and call it whenever you look at Gartner and some others. We call it data sanitization. It's very much reconstruct files. Assume everything is bad. You go to camping, before you drink the water, you boil them. You don't trust anything you're going to go and consume to a point that you have technology to reconstruct the files before you actually use them. And on the same website I mentioned to you before, it's really an interesting website. We get tons of research at metadefender.com. We share many samples of videos and JPEGs and documents that you can clearly see that maybe a few vendors detected the threats months and months ago. However, with data sanitization, literally you can deterministically clean these files before they touch your network. The second philosophy that I'd like to share with you, that we're very much believing in, is multi-layered, however, multi-vendor defense. Whenever you don't know how many threats are out there, you don't know what's the capability of your solution, try to use as many as you can. Obviously, try to go and base your decision on what you use based on reports. So, yes, you can use AV tests, AV comparison to go and choose, okay, the ones that you trust the most. However, try to use as many as you can. I know I'm sharing a lot of data with you. By the way, for the ones of you that wants to see some of this research, we have it in the booth, and we can share it with you later. So, what you see here in this graph is you see some of our research about, we look at the top 10,000 threats that were pinged by customers' user on a day-to-day basis. Again, we're looking at the most popular 10,000 threats. And what we do is we scan them using over 30 different cybersecurity solutions, which includes next-gen AVs. We list all of them. We're not trying to go and throw any vendor under the bus, so we're not going to go and mention the names of them. We do it purely for the research. And what we can show, what you see here on the graphs behind me is that of those 10,000 threats, what's the capability, what's the value of a multi-vendor defense to go and detect the most popular 10,000 threats that the industry is looking at. Whenever we look at outbreaks, and outbreaks is, again, whenever we're looking at outbreaks, and whenever we're looking at an outbreak, it's actually we measure how much time. And using many, many vendors, how much time is decreased by going detecting an outbreak. So we see a decrease, a significant decrease in the time. The third philosophy I'd like to share with you is block installation of vulnerable software. And that's, again, a third philosophy that I'd like to share with you. And a part of that is that you can block vulnerabilities of application before you install them on a network. You don't have to wait to install them after to scan them. Many applications can be blocked before you install them. There are many binaries, many rogue installation, many rogue firmware of hardware that should not be installed. And obviously catch up with the vulnerabilities as fast as you can. So, the fourth element, and again, that I'd like to share is that the integration by design. So whenever we say integrating the technologies together, it's not only about, hey, coming up. Whenever you integrate solutions together, there is an art of integration. You need to know what's the capacity, what's the throughput of each one of your engines to go and integrate the solutions together. So integration and integration by design is key. This is what we do, and at least in the philosophy, and I'm really hoping that this data was helpful for you. Thank you.